Did you know that despite making up 50% of sellers, women hold just 30% of the sales leadership roles? It's not a pipeline problem. That's a promotion problem. Welcome to the Women in Sales Leadership podcast, where we make the new rules of success for high-performing women in sales. And I'm your host, Amy Evans, sales leader turned executive coach. After 25 years in the trenches at Salesforce, EDP, and startups, I now help ambitious sales managers step into second-line leadership roles. If you are ready to lead with authority, earn what you're worth, and make a bigger impact, you are in the right place. Click follow so the next episode will be waiting for you. Hey, welcome back to Women in Sales Leadership. I'm going to jump right into it. There is an uncomfortable truth that you need to hear, and I am going to tell you, and it might hurt a little bit, so just brace yourself. Your results aren't getting you promoted or the next job that you want. I know that doesn't make sense. I'm going to repeat it. Like, your results aren't getting you promoted or the job that you want. You could hit 120% and still get passed over, still not land the job. And I have been that hiring manager who chose a different candidate in spite of somebody's amazing track record, right? And I will tell you exactly why. This is what you will learn. The 3 things that matter more than your results in today's conversation. You're going to learn the mindset that changes everything, and you're going to learn something that you can start doing right now today that will make a huge impact for you if you are all about progressing your career forward this year. So let's get started. We're going to start with the perfectionist trap. Ooh, ow. We've seen this. We've done this. Maybe you feel like, if I just work harder, and I have been here, if I just work harder, if I just deliver more, someone is going to notice and they're going to suddenly give me this role, or say, you're so qualified and we want to promote you, or you're going to land the role, whatever the situation is for you. So you're putting yourself in this position of waiting for a tap on the shoulder. And it's not how it works. It's not how it works. And that's okay. I'm going to give you the info on how to get it. So here's the truth. Everybody is competing for these roles, and all of your competitors, they have great results. Now, this shouldn't scare you because you are used to competition. Competition is what you do for a living, right? We're leaders. We're sellers. We're responsible for delivering revenue and the goods, right? So competition doesn't scare us. Results are table stakes, right? Table stakes are that's the minimum that you've got to have. And it's not a differentiator at all. What is will absolutely change things for you. Let's talk about some of the things that are getting in the way still that you just want to be aware of, right? And I'm not telling you this stuff to make you feel bad or crummy about yourself or judge yourself. I'm giving you awareness, because anytime you're ready to take on a major shift or a change, you have to look in the mirror, understand what's happening right now, what do I need to be aware of, and then progress from a place of awareness into action. So let's talk about why you are staying stuck. So thinking that if you just put your head down and execute is keeping you off the radar, right? And so many of us love to be off the radar. I love to be off the radar. I wanted to be just out there delivering my numbers, nobody bothering me, leave me alone. Let me go lead my team. Let me go hit my number. Let me go make my money. I don't want any executive shenanigans in my world, right? Yeah, that's great. And it'll help you keep your world under control, but it also keeps you hidden. So nobody knows who you are. They don't know what you're doing. And it puts you in this place where, on the one hand, maybe you're craving certainty. You're craving certainty because you're like, well, at least I know what I'm doing here. At least I know this team. I know these people. I know this company. I know all the things. And so it feels safe. It feels certain. And that's 100% cool if that's how you're feeling. What I know about the leaders that I work with is that we have this kind of juxtaposition of two ideas always going in our minds. It's like on one hand, we want certainty, but on another hand, we want growth and challenge and variation and something new to pursue and go learn how to figure out, right? We figure things out. You figure things out, right? So, but this certainty that keeps you in your current role, it's really keeping you from stepping up. This desire to have certainty. And the distinction of what I've seen every time I've promoted leaders, every time I've been promoted, is there is a willingness to embrace the uncertainty. And it's the same kind of journey that your clients go through, by the way, where they know they have to make a change. They know they need to fix something that's not working for them, and they're not quite sure if it's going to work, and they're not quite sure how it's going to, happen and unfold and all these things. You're no different. Human psychology applies for change across all different flavors of change. So when you turn the lens of change and transformation on yourself, you can see that, this preference, this desire to stay safe is keeping you where you are. And the truth is, if that's cool for you, it's cool for you. But you wouldn't be listening to this show right now if it were. So it's likely not. And you want to make some kind of a move, and you probably aren't sure what that is, and that's okay. But this desire to stay safe and have certainty is what is probably holding you back. I see this a lot. When people are getting these big jumps up, I just was on LinkedIn today. The last 2 days, it's been blowing up. A couple of the largest Salesforce and some of the larger software companies. Salesforce is the biggest one that just ended a fiscal that I see a lot of promos happening. It's every day I'm seeing promotion announcements happening, right? Every single one of the people who's on those promotion announcements, they were willing to push past their uncertainty and their discomfort to say, you know what? I trust myself. I believe in myself. I can take on a change. And that willingness created some visibility for them. And they were seen in their willingness. They were seen as leaders before they got the role, right? This is what executives are really, really looking for. And they're going to make assumptions when you're thinking about okay, I'm ready for my next jump up, either inside the current company I'm in, or maybe I'm going to start interviewing outside the company. If you're going to insert an interview outside the company. So they're going to make assumptions that you deliver results. They're going to assume that, right? They're going to fact check that. They're going to validate that, but you won't even get in the door for a conversation if you don't deliver results. So that's a given. The real questions that they're going to be asking themselves in the back of their heads are you strategic? Do you have the ability to influence across the organization? Do you have the ability to influence your team? Do you have the ability to influence your clients, your prospective clients? Do you have the ability to influence the market, perhaps? Depending on how strategic you are, you could. Do you have that presence of being fully comfortable with yourself, your authenticity, your presence? And when I say presence, I don't like executive presence. I'm gonna stop using that word. Brene Brown has declared that it doesn't make any sense, and after hearing her explain it, I'm fully on board. Executive presence conjures up this old school view of somebody in a dark blue suit with a red tie on. Well, we don't look like that anymore. Nothing against a dark blue suit, because I'm sure it looks amazing on you. Hey, quick break for a second. If you are a sales leader who is ready for your next step up, and I'm talking about leading other sales leaders, becoming a director, a VP, even a CRO, then this is for you. I'm hosting a free workshop. You can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. This is for sales leaders who are in tech and are wanting to land jobs where you can earn anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million a year. And again, you can grab your spot at amyevanscoaching.com. Okay, back to the show. Presence is just presence. Presence is, I'm here. I'm in the conversation. I'm not thinking about what to do next. I've prepared. I've done my homework. I know my stuff. I know how to listen and be in this conversation. I know how to bring up challenging conversations and have courageous conversations at any point in time that I need to, right? Because I'm fully present. I'm present to my power. I'm present to my energy. I'm present to you in this conversation. That's presence. That's the presence they're looking for. That kind of stuff just exudes that you have courage. You feel comfortable in situations, easy ones, challenging ones, uncertain ones, right? The other question they're asking themselves is, can you lead leaders, not just individual contributors? Any executive who's in a hiring position is going to be evaluating a candidate for what's this person's potential? Can I get them in at a level, and is there a possibility they could rise up even further than that, right? They're looking at you from that perspective. So those are the things to be aware of and be thinking about for yourself. So these are the things that I have been working with sales leaders for the past, for 25 years. And I've been working dedicated with sales leaders for the past year on helping coach them through promotions. I helped coach leaders through promotions and career navigations all throughout my career, but it's what I do professionally for a living now. And what actually gets people promoted right now is, number one, your relationships and your visibility. So if your head's down working and somebody else is having the coffee or the lunch with the big executive that has the influence over who gets promoted next, you might think that's politics, but that's just really relationships. It's building a relationship, and that's how things get done. The truth is that executive roles are, honestly, when I say executive, I'm talking about leader roles where you're starting to earn upwards of anywhere from $350, $455, $100K to $1 million plus in your OTE and total comp package. Those kind of roles, they're almost always filled before they're posted. Almost always. And there's a short list, and what you need to do is make sure that you're on that list. They can't know that you should be on the short list if you're hiding over in your little I'm off the radar zone, right? This requires you to do some work. And it really, I feel like networking is kind of old. Like, it's an old way to talk about it. It's relationship building. It's community building. It's your chance to get to know other leaders, which you should be doing anyway. Leading as sales leader is a lonely job. Selling is a lonely job. And the only way that you can get out of that echo chamber of your own brain and the way that you've, the finite amount of people that you probably interact with on a day-to-day basis is to expend some energy and reach out, to build community and give yourself some career insurance and be prepared to tell your story, to tell some of the things that really make a difference about you. I was talking to a sales leader. I'll give you an example on the story stuff. I was talking to a sales leader just yesterday, and she was telling me about, I said, well, what, you hit your number this year. She was telling me, like, I hit my number. I blew it out. I can't believe it. Six months ago, I wouldn't have thought it was possible to get over my number. And she did. And I said, well, what did you do that was different? What did you do that was so unique? She said, well, I do my homework on my accounts. I said, okay, great. I said, what else? She said, well, I don't give up. It was the last day of the fiscal year, and she dialed and started the day with $0, and by the end of the day, closed 60 grand. She didn't stop. It's that grittiness. It's that I'm not going to give up. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going for it. And if you hearing me tell that story, you already know that this is somebody that you want on your team, right? You want people like that who are for the joy of the game, playing the game and saying, I'm starting this day at 0. I'm going to see how far I can take it, because it's not over until midnight on the end of the year, right? And that's the difference between people who get to 100% and people that get way over 100% and 200% beyond, right? Those kind of stories are the stories that get you promoted. Telling those stories, not I hit 100%, whoop-de freaking do. Who cares? How did you do it? What made you different? Everybody else gave up at noon. You kept going. That's a pretty huge difference to me. Something to talk about. And it makes you stand out. You have stories like that. These are the kind of stories that you can tell that get told when you're not in the room. I promise you, when that leader goes and talks about that to others, which I encouraged her, I said, go tell 3 other people about this. And they'll see you in a different way, because they're going to see what's underneath getting to the number and what really happens underneath the hood. And these stories and telling these things, it's just the facts. It's not bragging. It's just what's true. And by the way, you ought to be damn proud. Anytime we exceed target, anytime we overcome something that's challenging, it's time to celebrate. We do not celebrate enough the things that we do every single day, every single week that carry it forward. It's not a victory in every moment, but there is progress. There's progress and learning that happens every day. So when you're telling your story and you're getting your facts down, you don't say something like, I manage 10 sales leaders. That's what's not to say, okay? That's a job description. What you can do instead that will be so much more powerful is to talk about, look, I led a team to 140% of target, which was 12 million in new revenue and number 1 in the region. And by the way, at the beginning of the year, we didn't stand a chance to hit that number. Let me tell you what we did that got us to 140. That's the kind of stuff that makes people lean in. It makes them say, wow, I want that kind of magic working on my team. I want this kind of a creative, unstoppable force leading my organization. It gives people that story to tell about you. When you are able to reframe some of the things that take it from the tactical to strategic, it goes from the what I do mindset, like what do you do for a living? Oh, well, I lead a team that sells software. Okay, fine. You can say that at a cocktail party. What you want to say in a business conversation is turn that into impact that you create, right? The impact of getting to that number. And even the journey along the way. At the beginning of the year, we didn't have a shot. 6 months ago, we didn't have a shot. We didn't have a path, but we worked together and we created one as a team to get there. That's the kind of stuff that will absolutely set you apart in conversations. And you drive home impact, like what it meant for the business, what it meant even for the client. If you have this client-specific story of how it impacted them. When you hold back on sharing your accomplishments, you make it so much harder for yourself And you make it so much harder for people who really admire you and like working with you. It makes it hard for them to champion you if you don't tell them these stories. You're not helping anybody by holding back and not bragging. Tell the truth. Tell the facts. This executive presence I talked about, which I'm banning, so I'm not going to use this word anymore. We're just going to call it your presence. It's how you show up. It's not about being loud. It's about how people feel when they're with you. And what you should be going for, that feeling, like think about it. I want you to just right now think about, okay, if someone meets you and interacts with you, has a meeting with you, how do you want them to feel? Impressed? Heard? That you paid attention? That you knew your stuff? That you could be trusted? That you run a tight ship? You have a lot of integrity? You deliver results? You can be relied upon? You're fun? You're funny? What do you want people to feel? That is what you want to consider when you're going into these conversations. It's a question. It's a cheat code for walking into any time you're meeting with a leader or even your teams. How do you want them to feel in this conversation? When you deliver this message, you have your team meeting or your one-on-one with your boss, how do you want them to feel at the end of that? You want your boss to feel confident. Like you know what the hell you're doing and they can trust you. Hopefully they also feel impressed just by who you are and your creativity and how connected and dialed in you are on your business. You can also approach that from how you want your team to feel. Just a side bonus on leadership here. This presence component permeates when you start to lead with intention and have these conversations with intention and consider how you want someone to feel in that conversation. It's like a small tweak on the dial of you that gets you tuned into the right frequency of your leadership so you can show up in the way that represents you best. And it takes the conversation from this strategic type of conversation and into one where you're intentional about what you say. You maybe even envision the conversation going really well. You consider what you want to occur, right? You plan it. And things go well when you plan these kinds of conversations. So what these conversations look like in addition to this intention setting, when you are getting ready to meet with in one-on-ones, or if you're so lucky to get a skip level with a boss, and this is for folks, right, who are wanting internal promotions, it's good practice internally before you start to go external. Consider some strategic questions that you could ask the leader instead of just reporting status. If there's an idea that you have in your mind that you want to try, if there's a point of view that you have about the biggest challenge that you feel like the team is facing, and if you don't know the biggest challenge that your boss thinks the team is facing, it's time to ask. Showing up with a point of view about how you could help or creative ideas, it'll automatically set you apart in their thinking of like, wow, she's thinking about the bigger picture. She's thinking the way I think. It changes the conversation. So you come to those meetings and those conversations with insights, not just what's your forecast going to be, right? You start to be seen as a peer and not as a direct report. And here's the thing, your boss desperately wants this. When I led sales organizations, the leaders, and I worked with some amazing leaders who were so strong, they want a strategic partner. The ones that are good leaders really do, right? And I'm just going to make an assumption that you have a good leader because I can't help if you don't. I can't help that. If you got a leader who's a good leader and is not threatened by you, they want a strategic partner.
They want someone who's their right-hand person, who they can bounce ideas off of, and who they begin to look at and see as you are ready. You are ready to move up because you're thinking differently. You're asking better questions. You're showing up with intention, and you're stepping up to show them what you're capable of and what you really are. So this mindset shift comes to you giving yourself, like, everybody hear this, like, you got to give yourself permission. Okay. How do you give yourself permission? There's a few ways to try it. It takes time. It doesn't just happen like in one moment, like, voila, I've given myself permission to have a new identity called I am a senior executive sales leader and I'm a strategic leader. It happens over time. There are tools that I use with the leaders that are in my program. Well, one thing that you can do is write it down. What's the identity that you really want to have? And when I'm talking identity, we all have multiple roles that we play in our lives, right? I'm a mother, I'm a daughter, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, right? I'm talking about your professional identity. My professional identity is I'm a CEO. I'm a founder. I'm a coach. I'm also a podcast host, right? But at the end of the day, like, that one thing is I'm a CEO. That's my identity now. What identity would you like to have professionally? And take a minute and think about it. You're probably not in a place where you can stop and write it down. So, like, think about it. What would that look like? What would that feel like to you to have that identity? What's the title? How much money are you making? Give yourself a minute to do that. Give yourself permission to imagine that. It's about you becoming this new level. And think about it. Every single time you've made a big jump up in your career, you've taken on a new identity, right? You've had all these different roles at all these different places. And every time you became the whatever it was that you were doing. That's the identity I'm talking about. And for some people, you can use your title, and that's just like a default. It's easy to go with that. You could also use, like a sentence to describe it, or a phrase to describe it, or words to describe it, right? I'm not just a CEO. I'm a transformational CEO. I transform people's lives. I transform them through a podcast that I deliver through my own messages. I transform them through the work that I do in coaching my executive leader clients. I transform the CEO clients that I work with and coaching them in their businesses. And I'm transforming myself, right? I am in growth transformation mode because that's what I love doing. I love growing. That's my jam. And I have a feeling maybe you like that too. I hope so. But this is your chance to consider, what would this identity be, right? So the look, what does that look and feel like is I'm already blank, whatever that identity is. You're just currently being paid for the smaller role, right? So this is the permission to want more, because you're allowed. You're allowed to want more. There's nothing wrong with it. You're not too much. No, you're not. You're just right. You have permission to advocate for yourself. You have permission to take up space, and you don't need permission from me. You already are running your own life. So I will cheer you on. I will be your biggest cheerleader, or one of them, because I bet you have lots in your lives. But the person that most needs to give you permission to show up, take on this new identity that you want, is you. Yeah. You can do it. So start today. This is what you're going to do today. Take on the assignment. If you do the homework, you're going to ace the test. What's the test? You having a life that you love. You waking up fired up, loving what you do, enjoying, feeling challenged, feeling alive, feeling energized by it again, like enjoying the game, having fun with it, right? That's the test. That's the test. And make the money that you want. Like have abundance of wealth in your life. So the homework for you, if you want to take on homework, bonus points for people who want to take on homework from this conversation, get yourself in action. Schedule 2 new relationship conversations this month. You have been thinking about this. You have been thinking about it probably for a year. I should call so-and-so. I should reach out to whoever. Get it done. How long will it take you to do it? When will you commit to get it done by? If you want to add in comments, comment on this episode. If you are taking on this homework assignment, like comment. Tell me I'm up for it because I want to build relationships so I can start to chart a path for myself where I am fired up about what I do. I am fired up about new challenges. I'm getting paid what I want to be paid. I have the kind of power, the influence, whatever turns your light on and makes you say like, yes, this is what I want. Throw it in the comments. Let me know. If you're not a comment person, you don't want to do it out in front of everybody, cool, no problem. You find me on LinkedIn, you DM me, like, let me know. I will help you if you don't know who the relationship should be. I will give you that commitment. I will support you in this. But I can't support you if you don't reach out. And you can always find me on LinkedIn at aylinevans.com on LinkedIn. So schedule 2 relationship conversations for this month. Okay. Truly, like, get it done in the next week or 2. Come on now. It doesn't take that long to do this stuff. People and pick people who make you a little nervous. Do not go for the low-hanging fruit people that are like, oh, this is an easy convo for me. No, pick a conversation that scares you a little bit. Pick a conversation with somebody that is pretty high up in your organization, right? Like reach. Go for it. What's the best thing that could possibly happen? Yeah. And here's what you do. I want 15 minutes with you. I admire you. I would love to learn about your journey. I'd like to do what you do someday, or something along those lines. Something will feel natural to you in the moment. Like just be a normal human being having a conversation. So that's your homework number 1. Number two is to rewrite your introduction of yourself. When people say, what do you do? What do you do? Oh, I'm a sales leader at blah, blah, blah. Try something else. Try something that's more aligned with impact. Try something that's more aligned with what you're actually really proud of that you work on with your team and the outcomes that your team deliver and the impact that you have. Yeah? Give that a shot. And the third thing, okay, this is like bonus. If you're really feeling, and here's the thing, it's only February. Come on. You still have a whole 10 months ahead of you to shift what's happening in your career right now. Okay. Third one is the next time you are in your one-on-one with your boss or an influential leader, somebody who can have influence on what happens in your career next, show up with some insights and recommendations. Ask some strategic questions. Prepare those things and see what happens. I want to know. And if you are about this year fully about making a shift for yourself in your career, I open up slots in my program, which is the Unlocked Executive Sales Leader. I open up 3 slots every month for leaders to join. I have 2 slots open left in February. I might only have 1 after Tuesday next week. This isn't about just getting promoted or landing the next job. When you step into your full potential as an executive sales leader, and once your influence and you are able to lead strategically in the way that is authentic to you, in a way that feels great, your job stops being so damn heavy. It starts to feel natural to you. One of the leaders that I worked with last year, she told me, I said, how does it feel? Finally got the big promotion to get from leading individual contributors to leading leaders. I said, how does it feel? And this is what she said to me. She said, it feels like I'm breathing. It feels amazing. It felt natural to her. So natural. Like she'd been built to be leading at a strategic level that whole time, right? And the impact you get to make, yes, there's money. Of course there's money, but you start to have influence to lead like you've always wanted to lead, and have that kind of influence that shapes cultures. And you get to be the leader that you always wanted for yourself and be that for other people. That is contribution. So I mentioned if I run this program, if you're curious about it, you want to learn about it, come find me. There's a way to book time on my calendar on amyevanscoaching.com. You can scroll to the bottom of my page, grab some time with me. We will talk about you. We're going to talk about where you are in your career, and then I will give you some insights about a career plan and what you could do next, and if it's a right fit, you can choose to work with me. I am so thrilled that you joined in today's conversation. Go be the leader that you know you are. You got this. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining today. I know you're a super generous person, and a gift that you could give to someone you know, a friend, a colleague that you think would enjoy today's episode would be to send them a text, share a link to this episode with them. I do produce this show myself, and every time you share it, it helps the podcast grow and it supports the work that I do here. Also, if you happen to be a sales leader who is ready to take your next step up into a leader of leaders role, whether it's via promotion or you're ready to go and get that new job at a new company, I'm talking about director roles, VP roles, even CRO roles in B2B tech, where you can earn $500,000 to $1 million or more. The workshop I'm giving is an hour-long workshop. It's totally free. You'll learn the process that I teach my clients on how to effectively position themselves, effectively network, and own their executive presence so they can land the job and get hired and promoted into these big sales leadership roles in B2B tech. If this sounds like you, come grab your spot. It's waiting for you at my website, amyevanscoaching.com, where you can unlock what's next for you.